Great. Well, welcome everybody. I am joined by Beth Borg, who's in Sales Enablement on the Document Cloud side. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning.
And we're going to be taking you through the digital media use cases for FY17. We're very excited about this, and this has been a long time coming. It represents quite a bit of research, interaction with the field, with customers, with marketing professionals inside of the BU and outside. Represents an investment in value selling, which many of us have gone through now, and it represents the kind of the future of how the BU and sales want to work together. And I think that's really important, looking at the use cases as a lens for how we can have value conversations with our customers moving forward into this brave new world. So before diving into the meat of these use cases, I think Beth and I and the folks in Sales Enablement kind of want to try and frame the use cases through the largest possible lens so that we can think about their significance globally and universally. So this is the backdrop of our corporate mission statement slide from the corporate deck, or the most recent corporate presentation. And I actually think it does a pretty decent job of framing the topics that we want to cover today, because it beckons us to think about all the different media that we now consume in so many different ways, right? That big sports game streaming on our phone, or that productivity app that's on our phone that keeps us on top of all of our tasks and demands, right? All of these everyday digital experiences that we now tend to take for granted. Even though they seem kind of mundane now, these are incredibly powerful experiences that have completely changed the way that we all think, the way that we interact, entertain, work, and relate to the world around us. So that is the mission statement of Adobe, to change the world through digital experiences. It's a very exciting mission statement that I think we're all proud to be a part of. So it's clear that these new experiences, and particularly experiences that are exceptional and captivating, have become a lot more critical than in today's market landscape, right? This is what we're calling the era of the connected consumer, right? People are consuming content across more devices than ever before in human history, right? We expect everything that we do online to work just the way that we want, instantly and easily. And what we're also seeing is this explosion of data flowing through our devices and through our servers in the cloud. We actually submit more data about ourselves than we ever have before, right? Who we are, what we buy, where we are, what we do online, and our interactions with all of our devices like wearables or our cars, houses, refrigerators. This huge data flood is pretty overwhelming for the companies who are trying to act on the data, but it's a huge opportunity for businesses to understand the impact of the experiences that they are delivering. And then for the changes that are being that we're seeing in consumer behavior, and this explosion of data has created this disruption for businesses. Entire industries are at risk of being wiped out by one single well-designed app. So the businesses that are the smartest ones are making moves to outmaneuver the competition for attention, mind share, and money. And they're doing this primarily through best design practices. So with these trends as a kind of backdrop, we've come to realize that every brand, every government agency, every organization is in the experience business. And people are craving experiences that are simple, intuitive, well-designed, and amazing. So in order to survive and thrive in this new wave of disruption, enterprises have to deliver the experiences that consumers and their constituencies have come to expect. So impact that Adobe has is immense and wide-ranging, right? We are empowering people to create the world's best images, websites, videos, apps, PDFs. We touch virtually any content that is being created out there in the world. And while our focus over the past 30 years has been largely professionals, we are extending beyond creative professionals and office workers to all people who want to express themselves. We're also transforming how businesses compete because we bring together this very strong design and publishing leadership. We are the natural partner for companies that want to become experience businesses. Virtually every business segment in the world is in the midst of this digital transformation, and solving the end-to-end content equation is the single biggest technology challenge that all of these enterprises face. So let's just look a little more deeply at how these changes impact enterprises on a departmental level, and also how enterprises actually place value, real money value, on solving the problem of becoming an experience business. So just a little bit more history, that Adobe's digital media enterprise business that we're all a part of, to a large extent has been based historically on interacting with enterprises primarily at the IT level, right? IT has been this ground floor, which is why it's down here on the ground floor of this diagram, where we've collated data about the entire enterprise's deployment and spending patterns for our traditional desktop tools like Acrobat, Photoshop, Reader, Flash Player, all those different desktop-based tools. However, IT is really only one of the many departments that are impacted by this digital disruption, right? Human resources and sales, marketing, product design, these are all places inside the enterprise that are starting to place a very hefty premium on experience as a differentiator. And this new opportunity for experiences comes with challenges that are commanding very significant attention for the very survival of these departments. And this is where we can start having strategic conversations that range far beyond the IT and procurement departments that we typically tend to speak with. So that being said, I'm going to hand this over to Beth Borg to kind of double-click a little bit on what these challenges are inside of these enterprise departments. So Beth?
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, so as Jerry said, we want to make sure that you're getting what you need out of all of these targeted job titles and departments, and really understanding their challenges as you seek to then deliver the messages of our use cases and our value messages to these departments. So we have to understand what their challenges are. For product design, and this is obviously more of a Creative Cloud play here, but customer experience is a new product. Designers collaborate with more stakeholders than ever before, and they have, they need to be adaptive and agile. The Internet of Things is screens and instruction design, and everything from traditional products has been a challenge for them. And then some of the the titles that you might expect from these departments of the people that you would be seeking to talk to: the VP of Product Design, the Director of Design or Editorial Operations, and then obviously a UX or UI director as well. What do they want? They want to allow their teams to rapidly ideate and on design prototypes. They want to iterate on UI and UX, and they want faster collaboration with more people. And then going on to marketing. So yeah, we often talk to our own people here at different companies. So and their challenges are around personalization, that it doesn't solve the disjointed experiences. Engagement is no longer enough. Usefulness is king. Conversion requires continuously higher content velocity, and so they're trying to do more with less. And you'll notice the same kind of higher end titles here. So you have your CMO, your Chief Digital Officer, a VP or Director of Marketing, and also under this are some of those design titles as well. So you might see a Creative Director or Manager also reporting up through marketing at some of the organizations you're talking to. And what do they want? They want to design exceptional cross-channel experiences across current and emerging media types, and they also want to delight and educate and retain and grow their customers, just as Adobe does. And on the sales side, which has typically been more of an Adobe sign play, but we're expanding that also to be more of a document cloud play, their business challenges are obviously they want to make sure that their forecasting is accurate, but that's very difficult to do. And profitability suffers when the internal processes are slow, they can't recognize their revenue as fast, contract errors cause legal and compliance risks, and all the various back and forth of contract changes can slow the processes down. And those titles that you would expect are, the VP of Sales, the Director of Sales Operations, who's maybe keeping track of reporting on those revenues, and also corporate and legal counsel obviously play a big part in contract negotiations. And what do they want? So they want to accelerate their sales, and obviously they're living in a modern digital world as well, so they want to make sure that with that modern digital world that they can reduce their errors, they want to speed their revenue and expedite workflows and basically gain better visibility into their sales processes. And then on the HR side, which has also typically been kind of an Adobe sign play, that also is being expanded out. So their business challenges are, having the inability to hire qualified candidates quickly. So they want to make sure that not only can they hire candidates, but they can get them onboarded quickly and up and running faster. They want to increase their productivity while keeping costs down. Typically, the HR department is bogged down with a lot of paperwork, and they're also trying to manage all of this in disparate systems. So they may be using one or two systems that aren't talking to each other, and it slows those processes down and slows productivity. And those titles are the Chief Human Resources Officer, so CHRO, or a VP of Human or People Resources, as we call it here at Adobe. And then they want to simplify employee onboarding. They want to simplify not only the onboarding process, but throughout the employee life cycle. So you might see their benefits enrollment, candidate NDAs, employee policies, and employee offboarding also, all with digital workflows to make that process very easy and quick. So on the IT side, which is also where we typically, as Jerry said, spent time selling, so they have challenges as well, and it's kind of across, they tend to go across departments more than others, but they have diverse teams with increasingly dynamic needs. Security and compliance are always areas where they have to be particularly careful, especially with SaaS and mobile products. Obviously, budgeting and forecasting can be very inefficient and inaccurate, and they want to make sure that every employee has what they need, no matter where they are in the world. And those titles are, the CIO, CTO, and also a newer title that we're seeing a lot here at Adobe is the VP of Digital Strategy as well. So someone that's looking at not only, how are the products and solutions performing for the employees, but how are they looking at things on a whole. And then what do they want? They want to ensure comprehensive license management, obviously reduce their costs and complexity across the infrastructures and the people that they serve. And just to summarize quickly, so, and you'll see all of this, this is a sneak peek of what we have to show for you later on, but you'll see all these different departments play a part in how we're targeting with these use cases moving forward, and really trying to help you expand the conversations that you're having with your customers. I think I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jerry.
Thanks, Beth. So as you see here, we distilled down for these different segments inside of the enterprise what they want, what they're asking for, what they're really looking for. And I think it's very telling about Adobe's digital media technology stack that that line under what they want, where we kind of boil it down to a simple sentence, it's of course never one simple sentence. It can expand depending on who you're talking to inside of the account and what the traditional relationship you have with that account, right? How do you communicate value to somebody who's been an Adobe customer for the last 30 years? They understand it pretty intuitively from a historical perspective, but their needs are evolving, changing, and they want to know more about the future. And they want to know the modern use cases for all of Adobe's technology stack under digital media. And so that's why when you take a look at these desire statements or these problem statements that we have put forward for these departments, they line up pretty well with the digital media use cases. So you may have seen this summary slide somewhere in the past. We've done different iterations of it. But I think it bears mentioning that across mobile and UX design, cross-channel experiences, design efficiency, collaboration, administration and control, sales acceleration, right? All of the 8 initial use cases, we should probably say right off the bat that these are not the exclusive use cases for digital media at Adobe. I think we'd be at pretty high risk if this was the only thing that you could do, or the only way that enterprises use Adobe Digital Media. What we are putting forward in this first iteration, in this 1.0 release of the digital media use cases, is trying to achieve a level set with the value selling methodology to give you tools and frameworks inside of that value selling methodology to help you succeed and have an evolved conversation with the customer around the value of Adobe's tools and services. And so I'm not going to go through and read all of these, but you might notice if you're just taking a quick pass through the descriptions of these use cases that they actually align very, very closely, in some cases verbatim, with the what the customer actually wants. And that's why kind of down at the bottom, after the quick descriptions, we've actually given you a little bit more detail on which particular Adobe tools are going to work at providing the solution to those business challenges that the customer may or may not tell you about. And so just to double click a little bit deeper on each one of these. I'm not going to go through these in general because they're all going to be made available to you momentarily. But this is just, what we've done is create summary slides for each of you to kind of mix and match inside of your existing presentation decks, right? We understand that when you go in to pitch to a customer, you might not use the corporate presentation deck, you might not use the exact pitch deck in the exact order, you might mix and match. And so that's what we wanted to do here, and also kind of provide a little bit of education as a means of helping you think about when the discussion comes up around, for example, mobile and UX design, and you hear some of these buzzwords about mobile first or prototyping, design developer relationships. You might think of some of the tools like Creative Sync or libraries, CC Assets, Adobe XD, Adobe Comp, and some of the tools in the Creative Cloud portfolio. And these are particularly relevant when you're speaking to somebody in a product design organization, right? If any of you are familiar with our own, Adobe's own product design organization that's run by Jamie Myrold, then you'll know that this organization has very distinct needs. And these are not traditional creatives that we tend to associate with the Creative Cloud, right? These are designers, user interface, user experience designers or directors of design. In Jamie's case, it would be VP of product design. And they all have multiple mobile and UX use cases for Adobe's tools, but they are not quote-unquote creatives. They're not sitting and throwing creative spaghetti against the wall in a bullpen the way that you might think of somebody in an advertising agency or a marketing department, right? They are trying to solve user interface and user experience problems quite scientifically through a number of different methods, and they need that quick, easy prototyping for interactivity and navigation for mobile app compositions, or for the Internet of Things, or for screens on, inside of your car or on your refrigerator. So when you're talking to product designers, you're going to want to tend to come back to a use case like this. And of course, in a marketing organization, it's been that way for a long time, where that use case. Also, cross-channel experiences. This is, I think, a little bit more relevant in marketing, but also through product design. Designing something consistent across channels, across current and emerging media, right? You see a lot of incidents of virtual reality, augmented reality, high dynamic range, or 4 to 8K video, right? 3D in all of its different forms. Is because all of these emerging media are part of that experience business that our customers need to be in now. And so having a method for designing consistent experiences across all of these different channels, things where you can insert your brand presence, insert your identity, create an opportunity for affinity and connection with your brand that will continue throughout all of the other media and experiences. That's very important, not just from a marketing standpoint, from somebody who's trying to collect data on their customers' experience and what their customers are doing, but also for people who are designing products. They want to make sure that their product integrates on an experiential level with other products that are part of their company's portfolio, with their partners, with other industry ecosystem partners. So it's very important to have a cross-channel mind frame, and that is a big use case for Adobe Digital Media, and particularly those tools. Design efficiency is another one, with particularly Adobe Stock kind of leading the way on design efficiency. Being able to quickly find and license design assets directly from within a design environment. We've seen that can lead to up to 10 times the productivity savings that you might get through traditional methods, through our FIFO reports. And again, this is important in a marketing and also in a product design organization. If somebody's designing a mobile app and they need to make an interactive prototype that includes imagery, and they need quick imagery, right? That's going to be very helpful for to have that at their fingertips with Adobe Stock. Or if they're working with 3D models or 3D lights or 3D textures, right, to have that available inside of Adobe Felix, which I conveniently forgot to put on this slide. But right directly within the design environment, having access to fonts and to libraries, right? It's not just marketing, it's also the very fundamentals of product design. Even if your product is not a physical thing or an app, even if it happens to be a broadcast bumper, a 30-second bumper for the latest spot on HBO, right? You still need design efficiency. So if you're a broadcast or a media organization, your product that you're designing is not necessarily a thing or an app, but you still need to be efficient in design. Collaboration is a huge topic, and I think there's a number of different ways that we address it. Number one is just allowing any team, whether it's creative or marketing or your customers, freelancers, or agencies, to collaborate together. But maintaining version control, visibility across any of those assets, files, documents, that's going to be important with the Adobe Creative Sync in Creative Cloud, but also in Document Cloud and Adobe Sign, right? There's a lot of collaborative capabilities in there where teams can, collaborate to approve a document. So that's going to be evident across all kinds of different departments. I should have put HR and sales in there as well. But a more detailed click down into collaboration kind of brings us to the use case of libraries and style guides that can be used for global brand consistency across all of these different touch points. So design efficiency, cross-channel experiences, collaboration, they all mix together a little bit in marketing and product design organizations. But we provide these to you as a way of listening to those buzzwords, hearing what the customers are talking about, and being able to provide a context and a framework for the Adobe story. So you might think that the capabilities that we have for administration and control of Adobe software, like the Enterprise Dashboard or the Deployment Snap-in or the Creative Cloud Packager or the User Management SDK that we provide to IT organizations to help them automate user onboarding and management of their Adobe entitlements. You might think that, or our security certifications, the many different security certifications that we have throughout the Creative Cloud and Document Cloud, that these are really only interesting to IT, to the people who are controlling the nuts and bolts of the enterprise's software deployment. But the reason that we put every single department here that might be interested in our administration and control capabilities is because in marketing, in product design, in all of these places, they have stakeholders who need to get quick access to our tools and services. And so being able to quickly provision those and demonstrating to the customer that yes, we can very quickly provision your 20 freelancers with this capability for X amount of time with these licenses by spinning up a group in the Enterprise Dashboard. Even if it's not a demo that you need to show them, but just talking to the customer that we have with Creative Cloud Enterprise or Document Cloud or Adobe Sign or even Adobe Stock for Enterprise, that we have these highly advanced, very granular and enterprise class administration and control capabilities inside of our tools. That's going to put their mind at ease, especially if you're talking to somebody who's concerned about the security of their assets on the cloud, to have that talk track ready about the security of their assets and the compliances that the Adobe Cloud infrastructure has obtained, like SOC 2 or ISO, right? So having those types of security discussions, they might not happen at a very granular level with marketing and product design, but allowing them to know that we have these capabilities and having that discussion can be very mission critical. When it comes to sales acceleration, right, accelerating sales in the modern digital world by reducing errors, expediting workflows, and gaining better visibility into the sales process, right, that's where you can have the conversation about Document Cloud and Sign. We have a number of great customer references for all of these use cases, in fact. So I'm not going to belabor the point too much more deeply with any of these. But I think it bears mentioning, by the way, that if your customer says things like, I want to bring in more revenue by closing more deals faster, give the team the ability to focus on selling and not on filling out paperwork, and I want to see the status of all of our contracts as they're coming in, then that's a conversation you can have about Adobe Sign with that customer, right? We have a very good response for that. If your customer says that they want to hire and retain the best talent in the business, but they have to provide a perfect digital experience for them, to those candidates and to those employees, a lot of times the experience of selecting a candidate and the experience that that candidate has with the company, that's going to make that candidate choose to work there over competitors. And when employees can spend more time getting work done, they're always a lot more happy, right? So being able to track and archive all the different contracts, that's something HR wants the ability to do. And so that's where Adobe Sign and the Document Cloud play in the HR space. And finally, in digital workflows, right, when a customer says that they want more seamless processing and managing of their paperwork and their documents, because doing all of that provides more time for real work, right? If they have multiple systems and multiple business processes, they don't want to be concerned about security, privacy, compliance with all the different industry regulations when they're managing their contracts, right? This is the opportunity for Document Cloud to talk to sales and HR about their digital workflows. So Beth, do you want to take us through kind of some of the materials that we have put together for our wonderful field organization?
Sure. Thanks, Gary. So yeah, to summarize, we've put kind of all of the different things that I went back and forth about earlier in the session into kind of a single slide overview, just so you can get an idea just on one slide of where things align, especially in the product design and marketing side. There's a lot of overlap there, and then other departments have their own set of challenges with titles. So we've just put it into one single slide to make it really easy for you to cross-reference and really see everything all at once. And then on the use cases side here, yeah, you'll see what use cases match up to what areas. And as Jerry said before too, we have a lot of these use cases are cross-cloud. So we have Document Cloud and Creative Cloud areas kind of falling under these, not only the use cases, but also the departments, which is why we've aligned it and kind of organized it this way for you. And you'll see here what use cases are around what departments, and then the titles as well matching up to those departments. And with that, I wanted to take you through, I think if you've been following along in the chat pod, we do have these posted up on Readiness. We have our own page now, just like digital marketing, which is very exciting. And there's the link that Jerry put in there. But you'll see that we have our use cases page as well as additional resources for you that I'm going to go ahead and just walk through quickly now. And we have all these great tools. So just bear with me while I share my screen here. And yeah, so right here you'll notice that so right from the main Readiness page, you can get to all these great use cases by going under the Use Cases tab. So there's actually a tab, very easy. We scroll down to Digital Media Use Cases. And what comes up is not only all the use cases that we walked through today, but you'll notice that Jerry's slide deck up there as well. So we have that all ready to go for you to download today. And that will include these the slides that Jerry just finished walking through, the summary slides for each use case, and those are customer facing if you'd like to present them that way. And then in here we can drill down into all of these use cases. Before I go on, I wanted to mention there have been a lot of great comments in the chat pod and some great ideas for enhancing these. As Jerry said as well, we want to make sure to gather your comments and feedback, and we'll do our best to update with some of these suggestions. But these are definitely by far not the end-all be-all use cases. We'll continue to build them out as well as build out some of the resources. So for example, if we go into collaboration, you'll see here that we have some of that summary stuff up at the top. We have tabs. So right here, you can even see we're giving you the use case messaging right on right within the Readiness portal here. So you can scroll down, you can see everything here that's been laid out. We also have it in our resources tab. We have that available as a Word document download, as well as a bunch of other great things, and we'll continually add resources here, like I said. So some of these resources, one is what's great are these value prompters. So we've taken sort of the main contact for each of these areas and put it into a value prompter. So now that you've been through value selling, the value selling methodology classes, you'll see that this will look very familiar to you. So you'll have your contact, your target contact up at the top, the business issues here, their anxiety questions, the problem and solution areas, the value and power areas, and then your plan area. So how do you proceed and target those folks? And we've built all of these materials out based on that value selling methodology. So you'll see that it really closely aligns with the training that you've received. Additionally, we have some other resources. So we have the Collaboration for Digital Media Overview, and we have that here. So you'll see, again, that these things are just laid out in a way that makes sense for the different areas, and it's just very easy and you know, condensed down into a single slide for you right here. And finally, we do have the messaging on that messaging tab that I just showed you here. We have that available as a Word document download. And these are meant to be templates. As Jerry said, you'll never take these necessarily verbatim, but they're meant to be templates so you can easily work with and change. So you'll see that if you scroll down, we have the value, the titles here under Power, and what our Adobe responses, some of those areas where we align our products to these use cases, as well as then customer references. So you'll see that there's a bunch of different customer references down here for your convenience. And then finally on the contacts area, so those that are cross-cloud, you'll see not only Document Cloud and Creative Cloud folks like Jerry and Lisa's beautiful faces, but others as well. And then some of these that align more to maybe Creative Cloud or Document Cloud, you'll see those contacts as well. And we have some use cases that also speak to our Adobe Sign and Adobe Stock folks. So you'll see under Design Efficiency, there's really a big Adobe Stock play. And then under the Sales and HR, Sales Acceleration, HR Efficiency, you'll see those are a little bit more Document Cloud, Adobe Sign play. So just to show you another example here, so you'll see that they're laid out all the same way for easy access and easy organization.
Yep, and I think it bears mentioning, Beth, that you know, what we're trying to do is align, right? I don't know if you saw in the drop down on the Readiness portal there, but with use cases, right? What we're really doing this first iteration is kind of like what I mentioned on the use case overview slide, right? Like we are aligning the entire sales organization, the entire worldwide field organization on this use cases methodology for value selling. So the digital marketing organization, you know, for those who might be familiar, right, they've been selling with use cases for years now. And so their page, if you venture onto the digital marketing use case page, you'll see that it's actually quite well developed with tens of use cases, right? We're initializing this effort with 8, and I think that was based on our bandwidth and also wanting to try and get it right the first time. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, they are extremely well prepared with use cases that each of which have their own content support, their own personas, their own, I mean, there's a whole opportunity mapping tool with each one of, you know, that goes along with each one of the use cases, or that can help plug in their use cases. So I think what we're trying to do here, you know, is they've obviously identified some great practices in talking to customers in their language. And they're, you know, to some of the points that I saw in the chat pod, right, like their use cases are quite evolved down into verticalization. Right? So they've got use cases for specific vertical, you know, customer types, for specific departments inside of those verticals that don't exist in other verticals. And so I think the ultimate goal for these use cases, right, these first 8 are just a stepping stone, right? Like I said, they're version 1.0 for us to get this methodology off the ground floor for digital media. But our goal for this is to evolve the use cases so that they do address as many specific use cases throughout our customer base as possible. So we don't want you to think that this is it, this is all we're going to do, and there's no input to the process. No, we need the participation of the field. We need you to look at these, to break them down. If there's useful content in there for your conversations with customers, that's wonderful, that's fantastic. But as you are burrowing deeper, we want these to be a stepping stone so that when you go up to these departments and you start hearing even more detailed feedback, you can bring that back to the rest of the field organization so that we can all benefit from the wisdom of your experience, and that we can integrate those into the talk tracks for our fellow sales associates in the field organization. So I'm glad to see that there's excitement around these use cases, and I think they have been, to the point of many folks in the business unit, they've been a long time coming, and we've worked really hard to kind of get them into this initial form. But I saw a comment on where is video in this mix, and I think you're going to see as time progresses past sales conference of this year that we are going to start concentrating that way. So whoever wants to help us in the field organization, there are 200 plus people on the phone right now. If you have input, if you want to help us develop these use cases, we welcome your participation. We welcome your input. So please don't think that we are developing this content in a bubble. And so thank you. We want you to benefit from them, to check them out, and to use them. And we hope that you are successful with them. So that being said, there are a few calls to action here, right? We need you to go to the Field Readiness portal and go and download and read these. Right? Get your feet wet with them. For those of you who have been in Adobe Digital Media for years and years, a lot of this is going to feel very familiar, right? If you've just completed value selling, a lot of this will feel very, it'll be a good fit for what you already understand about your customer, and that's great, and we want to reinforce that. But the real challenge, or the real call to action, is to start using these tools to develop value prompters for your FY17 opportunities if you have not already started doing that already. And we assume that many of you already have. But pick out one that you think is really representative of the best opportunity that you have this year, and get it done. Pack it. Put it in your suitcase for Las Vegas coming up, because you're going to be taking that value prompter, taking that opportunity, and you're going to be teaming up with your colleagues at the Sales Jam in Las Vegas on day 3, actually starting on day 2 and into day 3, and you are going to be able to win some fantastic prizes by pitting it against your fellow sales associates globally. So with that, I think, Beth, we are ready to take some Q&A. And